And that's JT. And that's JT. No secrets. No secrets. Just truth. Just truth. Jazrel, Emil Kavan. You will reach your destiny. You will reach the end of the dream that you live like a king and a queen. I say to you, be not afraid, for you are special indeed. The children of destiny, the outcasts of society, for the truth of reality. Generations, ancestors of past and old have given their life so that your life could matter. Now it's time to be changed. Now it's time to change. The world that you see, you are the beacon, the light, the lighthouse on the hill in the wilderness of darkness. Let your voices be heard, each one loud and proud.
This morning I would like to use as a subject from which to preach the drum major instinct. The drum major instinct. And our text for the morning is taken from a very familiar passage in the 10th chapter as recorded by St. Mark. Beginning with the 35th verse of that chapter, we read these words. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came unto him, saying, Master, we would that thou shouldest do for us whatsoever we shall desire. And he said unto them, What would ye that I should do for you? And they said unto him, Grant unto us that we may sit, one on thy right hand and the other on thy left hand in thy glory. But Jesus said unto them, Ye know not what ye ask. Can ye drink of the cup that I drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? And they said unto him, We can. And Jesus said unto them, Ye shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the baptism that I am baptized withal shall ye be baptized. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. And then Jesus goes on toward the end of that passage to say, But so shall it not be among you, but whosoever will be great among you shall be your servant, and whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. The setting is clear. James and John are making a specific request of the Master. They had dreamed, as most of the Hebrews dreamed, of a coming king of Israel who would set Jerusalem free and establish his kingdom on Mount Zion and in righteousness rule the world. And they thought of Jesus as this kind of king, and they were thinking of that day when Jesus would reign supreme as this new king of Israel. And they were saying, now, when you establish your kingdom, let one of us sit on the right hand and the other on the left hand of your throne. Now, very quickly, we would automatically condemn James and John, and we would say they were selfish. Why would they make such a selfish request? But before we condemn them too quickly, let us look calmly and honestly at ourselves, and we will discover that we too have those same basic desires for recognition, for importance, that same desire for attention, that same desire to be first. Of course, the other disciples got mad with James and John, and you could understand why, but we must understand that we have some of the same James and John qualities. And that is deep down within all of us an instinct. It's a kind of drum major instinct, a desire to be out front, a desire to lead the parade, a desire to be first. And it is something that runs the whole gamut of life. And so before we condemn them, let us see that we all have the drum major instinct. We all want to be important, to surpass others, to achieve distinction, to lead the parade. Alfred Adler, the great psychoanalyst, contends that this is the dominant impulse. Sigmund Freud used to contend that sex was the dominant impulse, and Adler came with a new argument saying that this quest for recognition, this desire for attention, this desire for distinction is the basic impulse, the basic drive of human life, this drum major instinct. And you know, we began early to ask life to put us first. Our first cry as a baby was a bid for attention. And all through childhood, the drum major impulse or instinct is a major obsession. Children ask life to grant them first place. They are a little bundle of ego. They have innately the drum major instinct. Now, in adult life, we still have it, and we really never get by it. We like to do something good, and you know, we like to be praised for it. Now, if you don't believe that, you just go on living life, and you will discover very soon that you like to be praised. Everybody likes it, as a matter of fact. And somehow this warm glow we feel when we are praised or when our name is in print is something of the vitamin A to our ego. Nobody is unhappy when they are praised, even if they know they don't deserve it, and even if they don't believe it. The only unhappy people about praise is when that praise is going too much towards somebody else. But everybody likes to be praised because of this real drum major instinct. Do you know that a lot of the race problem grows out of the drum major instinct? A need that some people have to feel superior. A need that some people have to feel that they are first and to feel that their white skin ordained them to be first.
Make it plain today, because I'm against it so heavy.
And they have said over and over again, in ways that we see with our own eyes. In fact, not too long ago, a man down in Mississippi said that God was a charter member of the White Citizens Council. And so, God being the charter member means that everybody who's in that has a kind of divinity, a kind of superiority. And think of what has happened in history as a result of this perverted use of the drum major instinct. It has led to the most tragic prejudice, the most tragic expressions of man's inhumanity to man. I mean, not only does this thing go into the racial struggle, it goes into the struggle between nations. And I would submit to you this morning that what is wrong in the world today is that the nations of the world are engaged in a bitter, colossal contest for supremacy. And if some doesn't happen to stop this trend, I'm sorely afraid that we won't be here to talk about Jesus Christ and about God and about brotherhood too many more years. If somebody doesn't bring an end to this suicidal thrust that we see in the world today, none of us are going to be around, because somebody's going to make the mistake through our senseless blunderings of dropping a nuclear bomb somewhere, and then another one is going to drop. And don't let anybody fool you. This can happen within a matter of seconds. They have 20 megaton bombs in Russia right now that can destroy a city as big as New York in 3 seconds, with everybody wiped away in every building. And we can do the same thing to Russia and China. But this is where we are drifted, and we are drifting there because nations are caught up with the drum major instinct. I must be first. I must be supreme. Our nation must rule the world. And I am sad to say that the nation in which we live is the supreme culprit. And I'm going to continue to say it to America, because I love this country too much to see the drift that it has taken. God didn't call America to do what she's doing in the world now. God didn't call America to engage in a senseless, unjust war as the war in Vietnam. And we are criminals in that war. We've committed more war crimes almost than any nation in the world. And I'm going to continue to say it. And we won't stop it because of our pride and our arrogance as a nation. But God has a way of even putting nations in their place. The God that I worship has a way of saying, don't play with me. He has a way of saying, as the God of the Old Testament used to say to the Hebrews, don't play with me, Israel. Don't play with me, Babylon. Be still and know that I'm God. And if you don't stop your reckless course, I'll rise up and break the backbone of your power. And that can happen to America. Every now and then I go back and read Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. And when I come and look at America, I say to myself, the parallels are frightening. We have perverted the drum major instinct. But let me rush on to my conclusion, because I want you to see what Jesus was really saying. What was the answer that Jesus gave these men? It's very interesting. One would have thought that Jesus would have condemned them. One would have thought that Jesus would have said, You're out of your place. You're selfish. Why would you raise such a question? But that isn't what Jesus did. He did something altogether different. He said in substance, oh, I see. You want to be first? You want to be great? You want to be important? You want to be significant? Well, you ought to be. If you're going to be my disciple, you must be. But he reordered priorities. And he said, yes, don't give up this instinct. It's a good instinct if you use it right. Yes. It's a good instinct if you don't distort it and pervert it. Don't give it up. Keep feeling the need for being important. Keep feeling the need for being first. But I want you to be first in love. I want you to be first in moral excellence. I want you to be first in generosity. That is what I want you to do. And he transformed the situation by giving a new definition of greatness. And you know how he said it? He said, now, brethren, I can't give you greatness. And really, I can't make you first. This is what Jesus said to James and John. You must earn it. True greatness comes not by favoritism, but by fitness. And the right hand and the left are not mine to give. They belong to those who are prepared. And so Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great. Because everybody can serve. Every now and then, I guess we all think realistically about that day when we will be victimized with what is life's final common denominator. That's something that we call death. We all think about it, and every now and then I think about my own death, and I think about my own funeral, and I don't think of it in a morbid sense. And every now and then I ask myself, what is it that I would want said? And I leave the word to you this morning. If any of you are around when I have to meet my day, I don't want a long funeral. And if you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. And every now and then I wonder what I want them to say. Tell them not to mention that I have a Nobel Peace Prize. That isn't important. Tell them not to mention that I have 300 or 400 other awards. That's not important. Tell them not to mention where I went to school. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like for somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I want you to say that day that I tried to be right on the war question. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try in my life to clothe those who were naked. I want you to say on that day that I did try in my life to visit those who were in prison. I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind. But I just want to leave a committed life behind. And that's all I want to say. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word of song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian, or if I can bring salvation to a world once wrought, if I can spread the message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain. Yes, Jesus, I want to be on your right or your left side. Not for any selfish reason. I want to be on your right or your left side, not in terms of some political kingdom or ambition, but I just want to be there in love and in justice and in truth.
This is a watershed moment. A moment where we have to be humble, because in the words that we heard was prophetic. No one could fill the void of who he is and who he was. And you heard me say he who is, because the Spirit refused to let him die in the history books, but elevated him to be taught in every school across this country. His name is being exalted over and over again because of a movement he started. He created a watershed moment in all of us. He talked about the nation, our nation, the fall of Babylon. After this, I saw another angel come down from heaven. He had great authority, and of the earth, illuminated by his splendor. With a mighty voice he shouted, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become home to a demon. She has become a home to other demons, and a hunt for every evil spirit, a hunt for every unclean and detestable bird. For all the nations have drunken the maddened wine of her adultery. Kings of the earth has committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from her excessive luxury." Then I heard another voice from heaven say, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not be able to receive any of her plagues. For her sins pile up to heaven, and God has remembered her crime. Give back to her as she has given. Pay her back double for what she has done. Mix her cup, double portion for her own cup. Give her as much torture and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself. In her heart she boasts, I sit a queen. I am no widow. I will never mourn. Therefore, on the day her plagues will overtake her, death and mourning and famine, she will be consumed by fire. For mighty is the Lord who judges her. It says that she had cargoes of many pearls and gold and silver and precious stones, scarlet cloth, every type of wood, articles of every kind of ivory and wood and bronze and iron and marble, cargoes of cinnamon and spice, of incense and myrrh and frankincense, of wine and olive oil and flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and carriages, and the bodies of souls of men. They will say, the fruit you long for is gone from you. For all your riches and splendors has been vanished, never to be recovered. The merchants who sold these things to gain their wealth from her will stand far off, terrified of her torment. She will weep when he is done. They wept and mourned and cried out, woe, woe to a great city, dressed in fine linen and purple scarlet, a glittery glow of gold, precious stones and pearls. In 1 hour, her great wealth has brought to ruin every sea captain and all those who travel by ship, the sailors, and all who earn their living from the sea will stand far off when they see the smoke of her burning. They will exclaim, there has never ever been a city like this great city. They will throw dust upon their heads and weeping and mourning, crying out, woe, woe, O great city. Well, all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth. And in 1 hour she has been brought down to ruin. And many of you say, well, the city of Babylon was already here and already destroyed. And America cannot be the city that is talked about in the Bible. But many of us have come to understand that this is true. That prophecy is being unfolded before our eyes, that we are watching the demise of a great city. One who is stretched in on materialistic things. One that is clothed in a cloak of darkness, of pain, of hurt, of shame. From the beginning of our story, our foundation, we did a lot of things in the name of God that was not anything to do with God. We began to bring slaves here. We began to kill the Indians. We began to take over as if this was our land. We defeated a lot of Mexicans for Texas. And in our household, as a country, we are drowning in bills. The people are drowning in bills. I seen into my life that I would stand and watch her burn. Because she has brought disease and sickness unto us. The watchers are now seeing the watershed moment. The moment where all that was great about this country is long gone. So many of those who dream to be somebody important doesn't know what's on the line right now because they don't believe in politics. They don't believe in geopolitics. They don't want to be involved with what's going on. They're hating one person and loving another person, not realizing that both sides are the same. That even as we look at them on TV, they are fat cats sitting back, allowing their stocks to go higher, fleecing the American people of their gold, their precious metals, making them pawn things so that they can have a roof over their head, making them pawn valuable things so that they can have food on the table. Tell me which kingdom who claims to be rich do such things to her people. Spend what was saved up for those who work hard, for early retirement, for on-time retirement. They are met with the brute force of learning that that money has already been spent. We was dealt a powerful blow in 2008 when the economy started to stall and the stock went down 600 points, went down 500 points. We were back to 1996 stock level. The great robbery of our century. Then asked for an $800 billion bailout called TARP. That was supposed to fix everything. And then walks in Obama, who says another $800 billion is needed to stopgap what is going on. And here we are, years and months later, to this day, to this second, poverty is at its worst. There is no more middle class to help or save. Because they're going to the food bank that the poor once went to. They're going to the thrift store that the poor once went to. They're using the resources of the poor to maintain their household. The jobs that were there before with long-term benefits and pension plans and 401k plans, they are changing their minds and seeking only part-time workers. When you go through the drive-thru now, you don't meet a young teen with their first job. You see an older woman or an older man who should be somewhere else making money. The fast food industry was made to have young people serving their customers. But you got those who are on disability and it's not enough money, so they have to get a little part-time job and do what they can. While the rest of us who are more disabled than others can't do nothing but wish and pray that they don't mess up our future. Because we're holding on to Medicare. We're holding on to Medicaid. We are holding on for a disability from the government. Because we have served our time. We have worked our 40, 60-hour weeks. The watershed moment comes when you realize that some of the iconic structures of each city has been sold off already because the state could not afford to keep them. They was running budget deficits and they had to sell property. This is what they won't tell you. The closed door meeting in 2008 where they just said that they were about to declare martial law because there was no economy to save. It was free falling. Until here comes the Fed, which is not even a federal entity. It does not belong to the government. It is a private bank of the wealthy, the affluent ones, that make more than $1 billion but trillions of dollars. The government has to get a loan for them to be able to function. And the Fed has been pumping money into the government left and right to stabilize the situation. But what is going to happen is there's going to be another watershed moment when everything becomes so inflated that you're not going to be able to feed your family. Milk is going to go up. Sugar has already started climbing up. Corn is climbing up. Coffee is getting more expensive. And you're wondering why? Because it is these commodities in which when the economy shrinks and expands, it is the commodities that pay the price of that. So when you go out to eat and you're paying a little bit more to eat, it's not because they're trying to get rich. It's because they're trying to control their food costs. They have no other choice. Seafood change weekly, daily, depending on how much they pull from the sea, depending on how much is on hand. When fuel was high in 2008, restaurants were charged for their gas, for them delivering the food that they ordered. It takes you going behind the scenes to watch what is going on. They say the minorities are not trying to find a job. That's not true. That's an illegitimate statement made by ignorance. The watershed moment tells you that the poor have no access to computers. They have no laptops. All the jobs now are getting rid of paper applications and doing everything online. You get online, you get 30 minutes at the library to be on the computer. In order to fill out for a job, you now have an assessment test so that they can rule out all those who can't perform well on their tests, who answer their questions slightly different than what they're looking for. And you spend 30 minutes on this test and your time is up. And one day you completed one application racing, and you have no idea how many people are ahead of you for that one job. So those who are giving up are not necessarily giving up because they want to. It's because they lost everything they had. Because they can't afford to be online all day, all night, looking for a job to replace the job they just left. It hit me hard because I was in the restaurant industry. My restaurant closed down on me. The lowest we have ever took in was $2 after payroll and everything else. $2. And we was in a prime location. I watched restaurants board up their doors and their windows and was soon gone because of the economy. And now it looks like we're going to be saved, but it's not. They're going to go war about our Social Security and our disability and mortgages and all these things that play into the factor of politics. How much your mortgage are going to go up? How much your rent's going to go up? How much gas is going to go up? How much city taxes are going to go up? It's no wonder in some states they already legalized weed because they needed another cash revenue to make sure that their state will be on target for their budget. It has nothing to do with them believing that weed is not a gateway drug. It never was a gateway drug. The drug dealer is now opening himself up for criticism. America is the #1 place where a lot of drugs are sent and sold by backdoor deals. A lot of guns, #1 an exporter of guns to these conflict areas. And then we try to say we don't know how they had it. We have to leave tanks and things behind. So we allow the government to keep those things. We sell the very fighter jets that other people want us to go to war with them. We will lose. As my history teacher taught me, guerrilla warfare is nothing that America can train for or do themselves. No matter how advanced they think they are with their technology, when it comes to guerrilla warfare, you're in trouble. Because these people have trained since they were children, have a disdain and hatred for us. Because we go into their country and make sure that they remain in poverty, but yet we make our clothes there. Yet we make our shoes there. Yet we make baseball and footballs and all kinds of things there, paying them pennies. And coming over here and selling them for $45 and $5,500. We kill those who will stop the flow of blood diamonds. This is a watershed moment where you begin to look at reality, to begin to look at life. You must open your eyes. You must have the watershed moment where you begin to see the decay of our country going the way of the Roman Empire, stretched too thin, no jobs, the government going against each other. This is your watershed moment.